Have you ever wondered what Albert Einstein, the man whose name is synonymous with genius, really believed about God and the universe? Not just as a scientist, but as a human being, stripped of equations and theories. What if I told you that the answer lay hidden for decades, sealed in a forgotten letter, only to resurface one day and shake the very foundation of what we think we know? December 4th, 2018, New York City. Inside the gleaming halls of Christie's, one of the world's most elite and respected auction houses, the atmosphere is charged with quiet anticipation. Under the harsh but elegant lights, a glass case glints, holding a delicate and yellowing sheet of paper, handwritten in 1954. No symbols, no diagrams, just words. But these weren't just any words. They were signed by Albert Einstein. A voice over the phone, an anonymous bidder makes the final offer. The room holds its breath. Then bang, the auctioneer's gavel falls. $2,900,000, 0 cents. That was the final price for what appeared to be a humble letter, a world record for a single sheet. But this wasn't just any letter. It was a personal, powerful glimpse into the inner world of one of the greatest minds who ever lived. A letter in which Einstein laid bare his deepest thoughts about God, religion, the universe, and our place within it. This was no technical explanation, no scientific treatise. It was something else entirely. Raw, reflective, and almost spiritual. A philosophical confession, clear and profound. And until that moment, it had been kept from the world for decades. Now, it was public, and those who read it would never see the world the same way again. Because behind the public image of the scientist, the father of relativity, the icon of intellect, there was a man. A man who wrestled with questions as old as time, questions no mathematical formula could answer. In this letter, addressed to philosopher Eric Goodkind, Einstein steps away from physics altogether. He doesn't mention black holes, time dilation, or quantum mechanics. Instead, he confronts something even more elusive. Who or what is God? And the answer he offers? It's stark, honest, and utterly transformative. There is no God with a white beard sitting in the clouds watching us from afar. No divine judge who doles out blessings or punishments based on our behavior. In Einstein's eyes, the concept of a personal God was nothing more than a projection, a reflection of human fears, desires, and longings, a mental invention, born out of comfort, not truth. He once declared, "I believe in Spinoza's God, who reveals himself in the orderly harmony of what exists, not in a God who concerns himself with the fates and actions of human beings." That single sentence turns traditional religious teaching upside down. For Einstein, God isn't a being, not a person, not a mind with opinions or plans. Instead, God is the underlying force, the impersonal order, the logic, the eternal structure that holds everything together, from the orbit of planets to the flicker of thought in your mind. This God has no voice, no hands, no judgment. It doesn't smile when you pray or frown when you sin. It simply is. It is the rhythm of nature, the silent architecture of reality, and to truly understand it is to look beyond human stories and into the very bones of the cosmos. But don't mistake this for cold dismissal. Einstein's view wasn't a denial of the sacred. It was a reframing of it. He may have rejected organized religion and its rigid dogmas, but he never let go of wonder, of awe, or of the mystery that pulses quietly through everything. "The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious," he once wrote. "It is the source of all true art and science." That sense of mystery, that quiet, aching feeling that something bigger is out there, even if we can't name it, remains intact. And for Einstein, that was enough. Even those who don't believe in a personal God can still feel it, a reverent silence in the face of the unknown. But when religion becomes a closed system, rigid, untouchable, unwilling to question, it begins to lose its soul. Faith, Einstein believed, should inspire inquiry, not obedience. Otherwise it degrades into mere superstition. And science? Science without ethics, without wisdom, without humility, can become dangerous. This is where Einstein's unique vision truly stands out. In his eyes, science and religion weren't enemies. They weren't opposites. They were incomplete without each other. "Science without religion is lame," he once said. Religion without science is blind. This letter from 1954 isn't just a theoretical reflection. It was something deeper, a spiritual testament, a quiet but profound invitation to think freely, to question the simplified tales we've been handed down like bedtime stories, and to embrace the unknown, not with fear, but with curiosity. Einstein was urging humanity to mature, to grow beyond black and white explanations, and enter a more nuanced, more honest relationship with truth. And yet, even as he championed logic and reason, Einstein didn't believe that rationality was the whole story. In a far less known and rarely mentioned letter, written not to the world but to someone deeply personal, his daughter Lieserl, Einstein introduced a surprising element, one that seems almost out of place coming from a physicist. He wrote about love, but not love as we commonly imagine it, not romance, not emotion. What he described was something far more radical, far more expansive. To him, love was the most powerful force in the universe, not a poetic metaphor, a real force, one that flowed invisibly, binding everything together, from the quiet dynamics of human connection to the intricate web of space and time. Imagine it. Scientists, in their relentless search for a unified theory, a formula to explain everything, overlook the one invisible energy that might already connect it all: love. The idea is both astonishingly simple and deeply profound. If the universe is held together by harmony, by a silent thread of interconnection, then to love is to align oneself with that fundamental truth. In that view, love isn't just an emotion. It's a guiding deed. As you read his words today, what strikes you most is not just their wisdom, but their urgency. Einstein wasn't writing from a place of comfort. He saw something alarming. He realized that human knowledge, especially scientific knowledge, was accelerating far faster than human maturity. While discoveries piled up, consciousness had not evolved to match them. People, in many ways, were still children playing with powerful tools. He warned that humanity wasn't yet ready to truly absorb the messages behind some of these insights. It would take time, centuries, perhaps even millennia, before we could see the world not just with the calculating mind but with the open heart. And in that belief, he revealed the most prophetic part of his vision, that the evolution of our spiritual consciousness would eventually catch up with our intellect. Looking around today, perhaps he wasn't wrong to think it might take 1,000 years. Because it's not enough to simply understand how the world works. That's only half the equation. What also matters, maybe even more, is understanding why the world exists at all and where it is heading. Einstein once wrote, "The true value of a human being is determined by the degree to which they have attained liberation from the self." That's the key, isn't it? To break free from ego, from fear, from clinging to certainty, and step into the great unknown, the infinite. His critique of religion and sacred texts wasn't rooted in arrogance. It wasn't the sneer of a man who thought he was above it all. No, what Einstein wanted was intellectual honesty. He once said, "The Bible is a collection of honorable but primitive legends." That's how he saw it. Not as something evil or dangerous, but as a collection of ancient moral stories, culturally rich, historically significant, but not the final answer. Not the center of ultimate truth. It shouldn't be worshipped blindly, but read with new eyes. Free eyes. Einstein never dismissed the value of ethical teachings found in religion. He respected the moral foundations many faiths tried to build. What he couldn't accept were the dogmas, the rigid structures, the threats of eternal punishment, the lure of promised rewards. These, he believed, diluted the truth. He was after something purer, more essential, less bound by human invention. Even his vision of the universe was drenched in poetry. He once painted an image of the human soul like a child standing before a vast, majestic library. The shelves are filled with books written in languages the child cannot understand. And yet, the child senses a pattern, a structure, a meaning. We may not yet be able to read the cosmic language, but we know it's there. And in that knowing, there is humility. A humility Einstein insisted we must cultivate, because the moment we think we know it all is the moment we stop growing. And then there's that one unforgettable sentence, a phrase now carved into the heart of science and philosophy alike. God does not play dice with the universe. It was Einstein's clear, bold stand against the idea that everything is random, accidental, without direction. To him, the universe was not chaos. It was a masterpiece of order. It had laws, structure, a path. Even if we couldn't yet grasp all of them, they existed. What appears to be chaos, randomness, or disorder is often just the surface. Beneath that surface, something extraordinary is at work, a quiet, unwavering harmony, holding the stars in place, shaping the orbit of planets, guiding the pulse of life itself. This is what Einstein wanted us to see, not to hand us answers, but to offer something far more valuable, an invitation. An invitation to think, to question, to never stop exploring. He wasn't asking the world to blindly believe in his words. He was asking us to keep searching, to bring together two seemingly separate forces, science and wisdom, logic and compassion. In doing so, he was calling on each of us to become something greater than mere observers of reality. Because in a world overwhelmed by constant noise, speeding forward without reflection, drowning in superficial distractions, Einstein's voice breaks through like a whisper in a storm. A whisper that urges us to pause and to turn our attention back to the essential. And that's where his strength still lies, not in technical theories alone, but in the way his ideas stir something deep inside us. Something timeless, something human. Today more than ever, that yellowing letter from 1954 feels strikingly relevant. We live in an age shaken by crisis, divided by conflict, clouded by spiritual confusion. In such a world, the idea that there might be a deeper force, one that connects, unifies, and heals, isn't just compelling. It's necessary. Maybe we don't need to call it God. Maybe labels only divide us further. What matters more is whether we recognize this force when it moves through our lives, whether we dare to feel it, to live it, to search for it. Not in books or temples, but in the stillness of thought, the rhythm of nature, and the quiet between one heartbeat and the next. For Einstein, the universe never demanded to be solved like a puzzle. It didn't cry out to be conquered or categorized. It simply waited to be discovered. And maybe, just maybe, the true meaning of it all isn't found in equations or doctrines, but in that mysterious energy that pulses silently between the stars and within the human heart. If this journey into Einstein's mind and soul moved you even a little, if it made you wonder, reflect, or feel something deeper, consider subscribing to our channel. There's so much more waiting to be uncovered, and we'd love for you to be part of it.